This morning, we are introducing you to Anne Lister, a trailblazing and brilliant woman. Lister is most well known for her 5 million word diary, which UNESCO has named a national treasure. She might fall under the category of if you know, you know, and our next guest definitely knows. Emma Donoghue is breathing new life into Lister, unearthing a long-buried love story in the pages of her new novel. It is called Learned by Heart, and Emma Donoghue is joining us in studio this morning. It's really good to see you again.
You too, Lindsey.
I always love hearing about the inspiration behind your books. I mean, last time you were here was for Haven, and that was inspired in part by an island that you just boated by. I remember you talking about that. So before we get to this new book, I wanted to sidetrack a little bit, if you don't mind, because you were finally able to make it back to that island, and you took a copy of the book with you. What was that like?
Well, it's funny, on the spur of the moment with the family, I posed for a photo of me reading to the puffins, but then my daughter pointed out that in the book, the puffins are made use of for dinner and fuel and so on. So really, I had no reason to think that the puffins would welcome my visit. No, it was just a dream come true to finally get to Skellig Michael.
And we're looking at some pictures right now. What are we looking at?
Very informal, candid publicity
shots. Great. Oh, they're fantastic. Okay, so on to the new book. It is called Learned by Heart. This is fiction, but it's based on 2 very real women, Eliza Reign and Anne Lister. And I loved reading in the author's note at the end because you were saying that Lister changed your life. Can you explain who Anne Lister was?
She was this extraordinarily honest diarist. Her diaries, 5 million words long. They speak precisely about everything in her life, from how far she walked to, you know, which socks she'd mended, right through to the 12 women that she had passionate affairs with. And those sections of the diary are in a secret code she invented. She was a self-educated polymath, incredibly brilliant, very androgynous. She was nicknamed Gentleman Jack after her death, and that's the name by which a lot of people know her now because of the wonderful BBC HBO TV series by Sally Wainwright. What my novel does is it goes right back to when she was 14, at a time when we don't have any diaries or letters, but she was at boarding school and she fell madly in love with a biracial Indian heiress called Eliza Reign, who was orphaned and had been sent off to England at the age of 6 and completely cut off from her Indian family. So these 2, you know, I would say both of them oddities in the Regency Yorkshire of their time, they ended up stuck in the same attic bedroom and they fell madly in love. So that's the particular story that I'm telling in this book.
And I have to say, the research for this sounds pretty intense. You say in some ways this book has been, what, 2.5 decades in the making, and Lister has been a fascination of yours for more than 3 decades. So you talked about this code breaker. I want to ask about you using code breakers to help you in your research.
You know, this novel is the closest to crowdsourced that I've ever done. I'm so glad that I didn't actually get around to writing it until now, because this community has built up around Anne Lister and all her lovers. And this community includes not only academics and filmmakers, but also a lot of the fans of the TV show Gentleman Jack, who have signed up in their hundreds to transcribe this incredibly difficult handwriting and break the code page by page. They've basically put the entire diary on the internet with the help of the West Yorkshire Archive Service. So there were a clump of about 100 letters between Anne Lister and Eliza Reign from their early 20s, which I needed for this novel. They were really my only insight into Eliza Reign's character. I couldn't get into these letters in Yorkshire while I was in lockdown in Canada, and I couldn't read them anyway. So 14 women agreed to transcribe them word by word from me. It was like getting emails from the past.
I know, it was so interesting to read. Like on Twitter, you were corresponding with these people who are helping you break these codes.
There are people I've never met in the flesh who've been basically swapping, you know, tiny little historical sources with me for over a year, finding details about many of the other girls who were at the boarding school at their time, or about the teachers. So people have been so generous to me with this novel, and it's been such a thrill to work, you know, in a long, solitary way by myself for so long, but then towards the end, so collaboratively.
Social media used for good, imagine. The book is called Learned by Heart. Emma, thanks for being in studio. Congrats on the book.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.